Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Dananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse explains how Sati quit her body, which she felt that it was contaminated. Why? Because it was born from the body of Daksha, who was very offensive to Lord Shiva. So she did not want to have anything to do with that body. So she quit this body, and it will be explained further. She got another body. Generally, we are supposed to quit this body and not get another body. Krishna says that janma karma cha me divyam evam yuvetti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma na iti. No more you have to take birth in this material world. That means we go back to Godhead. So as we can see clearly, Sati did not go back to Godhead. She got another birth as Parvati within this material manifestation. So that is why it is important to understand this verse as Prabhupada and as great Acharyas have commented and explained this verse. So here you can see Tataha Swabhartus Charnambujam Asavam. When she meditated on the lotus feet of her husband, Tataha, Swabhartus means her own husband, Charanambuja, lotus feet, Asavam, which contains nectar. It is just like the bees are attracted to the lotus flower because it contains nectar. Similarly, the mind of a devotee, just like Rupa Goswami's song we sing, Manamanasa Madhukara. He compares his mind to the bee, which is always after the nectar of honey. And wherein he explains that even great personalities like Brahma and all are meditating, but to obtain that nectar of lotus feet of the Lord is not very easy, isn't it? So similarly, who is husband of Sati? He is not some ordinary personality. How come there is nectar at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, because he is not an ordinary personality. He is Jagat Guru. In both the sense he is Jagat Guru, because he is one of the manifestations of the Supreme Lord, the three Murtis, who are meant to control, carry out the various affairs of this material manifestation. So in that sense also, actually he is the father. Parvati is the mother. Durga is the mother. When Krishna is saying, this yoni, and I am the seed giving father, it is in the form of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the husband of Durga. Because actually speaking, Krishna has nothing to do with this material world. Krishna does not even touch this material world. So it is through this manifestation, the Lord comes in touch with this material world. So in that sense, Lord Shiva is different from the Lord, because he is one of the manifestations of the Supreme Lord. But at the same time, he is not equal to the Supreme Lord. That also has to be understood. So, in that sense also, Lord Shiva is Jagat Guru. He is the origin of living entity in this material manifestation, the seed-giving father. And the mother is Parvati or Durga, this material nature. And then, because Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of the Lord, he is also Jagat Guru. Lord Shiva is one of the greatest of the Vaishnavas. He is one of the Sampradaya Acharya, out of the 4 Sampradayas which are bona fide to transmit the transcendental knowledge. Rudra Sampradaya is also one of the Sampradayas. And he is the Acharya of that bona fide Sampradaya. So, he is in that sense also Jagat Guru. So, Jagat Gurus Chintayati Na Chaparam. She had nothing else in her mind. She forgot everything. It's a fact, a person who becomes absorbed in ecstasy of meditating on the Supreme Personality Godhead's lotus feet, Deha Smriti Nahi Yaad, one who does not have any kind of attention to his material body and is fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no question of his being in the material world. He is already liberated. So, Sati is meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva, and she is experiencing a great pleasure, so much so, all this agony she was undergoing, painful thoughts she was having, all of them vanquished. And what was the result of her meditating on the lotus feet of Lord Shiva? The Darsha Deho, she was able to see Hatha Kalmashaha Sati. Sati was able to see that her body has now become completely purified. She has become completely purified. Hatha Kalmashaha. What was the typical kind of Kalmashaha was her identification with Daksha's relationship. That a peculiar kind of contamination she was thinking, that she is affected with, and she wanted to give up that contamination specifically, and she became completely purified of all kinds of sins. Kalmashaha means all kind of impurities, all kinds of sins. And then what happened? Satyaha prajajwala samadhija agnina. Because of her meditation, she was able to produce a fire, because she was, as Prabhupada is saying in this translation, because of her meditation on the fiery element, that Agni came out because of her meditation, and in that immediately her this body which was received from Daksha, it was burnt. So there are a lot of important things which are being explained in this purport. And I mean, a lot of tattvas, important conclusions are discussed in this purport. Just like the first point which Prabhupada is pointing out is, Sati at once thought of the lotus feet of her husband, Lord Shiva, who is one of the three great personalities of Godhead, in charge of management of material world. And simply by meditating on his lotus feet, she derived such great pleasure that she forgot everything in relationship with her body. And then Prabhupada is saying this pleasure was certainly material, because she gave up her body for another body that was also material. Now it is important to understand. One is, generally, if we meditate on the lotus feet of a pure devotee, then we actually obtain Krishna Loka. Just like every day we are singing, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma, Krishna Prapti Hoi Jai Hoite. The result of meditating on the lotus feet of the spiritual master is you obtain Krishna, isn't it? But now we are seeing Sati did not go to spiritual world. Rather, she obtained one more birth. But of course, we should understand this is the administrative arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the administrative arrangement of the Supreme Lord. Because she has to perform her duties in the material world. When somebody is sent to perform a certain task, he cannot say, Krishna, I'll come back to the spiritual world. No, your service is there. You carry out your services. Isn't it? And you are liberated. Even when you are living in the material world, one can be liberated if one is fully engaged in the service of the Lord. So, according to the arrangement of the Supreme Lord, just like even though Lord Shiva is transcendental, we understand that he has to carry out certain material duties. Similarly, if Mother Sati has to be associated with Lord Shiva, who is transcendental, she is also transcendental. But she is nothing but Maya personified, material energy of the Lord. Isn't it? So she has to carry out the task in the material world. to punish the living entities. For what reason? For the reason of sending them gradually back to Godhead. Because even punishment is required. If one does not surrender, just like the police, if they are punishing somebody, it is for the good of that person. It is not that police is envious of that person. So, similarly, material energy is engaged in the service of the Lord. And just like we see in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is discussed that when Veda Vyasa meditated on the Supreme Lord, he saw the truth. He saw Krishna, the Supreme Lord. He saw Maya, and he saw living entities. Three things he saw. So the Supreme Lord is independent. He was able to understand. Maya and Jiva are fully under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Maya is on the back side of Krishna. And the living entity in the material world is fully captured by Maya. And Prabhupada explains that she is ashamed to stand in the front because she is carrying out this kind of service, which is not very much appreciated. Nobody will appreciate if I slap you left and right. It may be for your good. Anybody will thank? Policeman is beating one man left and right. Actually it is for his betterment only, but will that person say thank you very much? Nobody will say. Another reason is because she has to do this work of punishing the living entities, holding back those living entities who are not yet fully purified. She is ashamed. Isn't it? So she has her duty in this material world. And that is why we find that even though Lord Shiva is a pure devotee of the Lord, meditating on his lotus feet definitely would mean going back to Godhead. But we don't find Sati going back to Godhead because she has to carry out her administrative duties. And this is what the Acharyas are explaining. Prabhupada is explaining in the end. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, other Acharyas are saying. I'll read this. So, according to Jiva Goswami, that Sati quit her body means she gave up within her heart her relationship with Daksha. Actually, this is the real meaning of giving up the body. Prabhupada is saying, similarly, it is not required for us that we have to produce external fire. The fire of ecstasy in Krishna consciousness itself is enough to completely burn all our sinful reactions. All our contaminations can be simply burned just by the ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. Just like her Samadhi gave birth to external fire, our Samadhi on the lotus feet of the Lord or the pure devotee of the Lord will give birth to internal fire which will burn away all kinds of contamination we are having. This is the real meaning of giving up. You know, what is there in giving up this material body and taking another material body? Isn't it? Giving up the material body means to give up any kind of identification with the material body And that can be done even while living in this material body. One can give up any connection with this material body. This is the understanding. And that is what it is explained. Rupa Goswami says, anyone who is completely engaged in the service of the Lord, with his mind, with his words, with his body, with his intelligence, Jivan Mukta Sa Uchyate. He is already liberated. He is no more in touch with this material body. This material body, according to its tenure, it will go away, it will be finished, but it will not affect the person inside. It will not affect. Just like we get affected by this body because we are conditioned. A liberated soul may have material body, but he is not affected by that. This is the understanding. So, that is what Jiva Goswami is explaining here. And then Prabhupada is quoting, Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also comments that since Sati is superintendent deity of external potency, this is the reason. Because she is external energy of the Lord, meant to engage the living entity in this world. That is her work, isn't it? She has to be here in the material world. When she quit her body, she did not get a spiritual body, but simply transferred from the body she had received from Daksha. Next, other commentators also say she immediately transferred herself into the womb of Menaka, her future mother. She gave up the body she had received from Daksha and immediately transferred to another, better body. But this does not mean she got a spiritual body. And we also know how we receive another body. Our receiving another body is not same as Sati receiving another body. This also should be understood properly. This is all administrative arrangements for a better body to serve the Lord in this material world. She did not want to serve with the body which was contaminated by a materialistic person like Daksha. She wanted to give up that identification and take up a better suitable body to carry out the mission of the Lord. So, this was the reason. Just like it is said, Karmana Devanetrena Jantur Deha Upapadyate. The living entity receives another body given by material nature. Material nature, Durga or Parvati only arranges for the next body for us, but under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. He decides. Karmana Devanetrena. So, our receiving another material body is not in our hand, but we can find that Sati was able to transfer herself to a better body. See? So, this is not like our giving up material body and taking up another material body. This is for the service which she is being assigned in the material world. And Prabhupada is saying, what should we learn? What do we learn from this? That is very important. So learning is also given by Prabhupada. Prabhupada is saying here, this pleasure was certainly material because she gave up her body for another body that was also material. Next, Prabhupada says, but by this example, we can appreciate the devotee's pleasure in concentrating his mind and attention on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu or Krishna. By this, we should be able to understand there is so much transcendental pleasure if we meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna. There is such transcendental bliss in simply meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord that one can forget everything but the Lord's transcendental form. Just like Mother Sati forgot everything else except for the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. Similarly, a devotee, when he meditates on the lotus feet of the Lord, he derives such a transcendental pleasure on the lotus feet of the Lord that actually all other material things does not deviate him at all. He's not attracted to anything else. And actually, just like Prabhupada explains, when we are serving the spiritual master, there are two important aspects. One is Vapu Seva, another is Vani Seva. And time and again Prabhupada has stressed that if one is fortunate enough to get Vapu Seva, it is very good, no doubt about it. It is a special mercy. But this Vapu will not be always manifest in this material world. Whereas the orders of the spiritual master, the words of the spiritual master, that seva we can carry out. So, when we are serving the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, it is very clear we are serving his orders by carrying out his orders. How a spiritual master becomes pleased? Spiritual master becomes pleased when one carries out the mission of the spiritual master. So, if we become attached to carrying out the mission of our spiritual master without diverting our mind anywhere else on any other subject matter, we will be able to derive that transcendental pleasure. Because there is no difference between the orders of the spiritual master and the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Absolutely there is no difference, because in parampara, whatever the Supreme Lord wants to convey is conveyed through the parampara, through the agency of bona fide spiritual master. So this is the important thing which Prabhupada is saying. In this verse, it is stated that by such meditation she became free from all contamination. What was the contamination? Contamination was the concept of body derived from Daksha, but she forgot that bodily relationship in trance. Purport is that when one becomes free from all bodily relationship within the material world, simply places himself in the position of an eternal servant of Supreme Lord, it is to be understood all contamination of his material attachment has been burned by the blazing fire of transcendental ecstasy. So when one is so much completely engaged in serving the mission of the spiritual master, on meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord, what happens is that transcendental ecstasy will burn away all kinds of material contamination. And in that, Prabhupada is saying there is no requirement that external fire has to be there and it will burn away the body. Internal fire of ecstasy itself will cleanse away from all kinds of material contamination. So we'll stop with this Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki.